was unveiled in 1996, and the plaque over there documents that, which makes this year, 2026, the 30th anniversary of the National Australia Remembers Freedom Wall. So your visit today as the Brisbane Squadron is very fitting. However, I have noted during my visits to the site that the Squadron is not memorialised. Very observant. We have looked into reopening the memorial for additional plaques, and my office has received from occasional requests from families seeking recognition for family members who have recently passed, but the Veteran Affairs Department considers the project complete, closed. Don't ask, it's never going to be reopened. I wish you all the best. Now, there is, I don't know if you noticed, see that chair just down there, the park bench? That is a memorial. I should have looked before I leaped, and that was installed after it. So outside of the boundary, there is the opportunity to memorialise other events, but you've got to pay for a park bench, and I think they're about $5 or $6 grand. The yellow hibiscus that you can see just there, that was a special hibiscus bred for the Australian Remembrance Year in 1995. And I don't know how many are planted around Australia, but that's something that you might want to look at incorporating in your own memorial at Brighton. Brighton? Yes. So the design of this, it was actually designed by Robin Gibson, AO, and he designed the Cultural Centre, and he's pretty much a legend in Queensland. I'm assuming most of you would have heard of him. Very good. So he designed it. When it was originally designed, they had thought that they would get 100,000 plaques of individuals. They only got 15,600. However, what they did find was an exceptional response from schools, from RSL clubs, from various squadrons, naval ships, and other identities. And so in actual fact, the number of people that are represented or recognised on the wall are actually in the millions. If you look at it as from a perspective that, you know, on one squadron there might be 80 or 90 people. From a city council, like Brisbane is identified here, you know, you get 2 to 3 million. And so it was a great success as far as the memorialisation of that 50th year event, and it's called that's David Crisafilli rushing off to another fuel crisis. It is called the National Australia Remembers Freedom Wall, and it is more than just servicemen. It was for you know, people that manned the airports, the ship stevedores. It was meant to be a tribute for anyone who was actively involved in serving the war effort, not so much just war veterans. Now, I've already identified, and you've got the hint from Greg Adamans' little speech, that there is no squadron.
No 23 squadron in there.
You know, 23.
Why not?
That's a good question. Obviously, and I can't believe that because there is.
City of Brisbane Squadron.
I know, but blame Jim Sawley. Now, the design of this is that we're about to walk over a bridge, and that was in Robin Gibson's mind. We're walking across the ocean where most of our servicemen fought. Only very few fought the Japanese on our soil at Broome, Thursday Island, Darwin obviously, and one or two other places, possibly Townsville. And the plantings that were designed, you'll see a lot of seagrass. That's meant to be representative of the oceans. The she oaks were meant to be reflective of the universality of the environments that our servicemen found in the war. And so with that, remember, if you want to ask a question, please do so. Stick your hand up and take this into your hands, otherwise your voice won't be recorded, and I'll look silly holding it, and I hate looking silly. So, The design elements here, as I've said, were designed by Robin Gibson, and it's half a Maltese cross, which you might not be able to readily recognise, but it's actually documented on that little sign there near the tree. And we're looking out, the open vistas on this side actually look out very purposely to the burial spot of Canon Garland. And Robin Gibson designed it that particular way. Since then, the National Defence Chaplains Grove has been developed, and it looks over here. And as I said earlier, there are 3 national memorials within a short area of time. Not many places outside of Canberra can make claim to 3 national memorials in such a small area, but Brisbane can. As you walked in, I don't know if you've noticed or not, the first plaque on the bottom, you see there's a big dark square.
Yeah.
Now, in that square, there is some 15,000 burnt memorial crosses from the War Widows service that was held in 1995, and they hold a memorial service every year, and they plant a series of crosses in a park, and then at the end of that, so people buy the crosses, subscribe a name that they want to memorialise, and then at the end of that, they're usually incinerated and then buried in the park. Well, in 1995, they're actually buried behind that plaque over there. And it always reminds me, although not many people agree with me, it echoes in my mind the burial of the unknown soldier, because you don't know the names of the crosses that are behind there. And so to me, that's a very significant design element of this beautiful area. The layout is A's, I think it's up to C or D here, and then it goes on and it goes around. So it won't take too long before you can walk up here, and I did look, AR Chaplain, number 1 and number 2 hospital, RAAF. I mean, that was pretty quick, and I didn't even practice that. So you can find a lot of history to the RAAF, and given 15,600 odd plaques, to the Navy, Army and all the rest of it. About there, over that way, it then morphs into schools, it then morphs into city councils, and then the final bit of it is where Navy ships, squadrons, Air Force squadrons, except for 23, and RSL clubs, and the War Widows have a very large section. And I know I've already been asked why no Squadron 23, because each one of these, someone's purchased it, right? Paid to get the plaque. And it's a really interesting story behind how it eventuated. So when it was first unveiled, what people did was that they purchased the plaque and they then inscribed their name and memory on it. So that's a true reflection of what was originally written on the plaque. However, the bureaucrats, being bureaucrats, sold people plaques that were already sealed. And I don't know how they expected it to be engraved, but anyway, as soon as you engraved it, you broke the seal. As soon as you broke the seal, it started to deteriorate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people just got a nail
Nail polish.
and just, yeah, you could have done that. Just got a nail and scratched it on. So there was a real mix, and they didn't stop to think, because there was a change of government from the Labor government to the Liberal National Country Party government. They didn't stop to think, well, what are we actually installing and what's going to happen? They unveiled it on the 11th of the 11th, 1996, as per the plaque, and almost instantaneously it started to degrade. And Bruce Scott, who was the Veteran Affairs Minister, was left with a pickle. And while the Brisbane City Council spent about $300,000 building the physical structure, and the federal government did not spend that much because the plaques were being paid for by people, it ended up being a multi-million-dollar problem is to redo it, but they've done a beautiful job. So about 2 years after the original installation, what you see today, this beautiful tribute, is what the product was of the work and effort. And so there's a really interesting story behind the interesting story. So you've heard a lost foundation stone. You've now heard about how the plaques were not really fully thought of. And you've heard about the excellent work of Robin Gibson. Now, I will meet in 5 or so minutes up at the other end, although I may not have that much more to add. But when you walk through that central area, if you look above you, you'll see that there is a hole in the roof. And Robin Gibson designed that so that the sun tracks across effectively the world. That's what the message is. And so during the course of the day, the sun tracks across the floor. And you can see that Robin Gibson put an incredible amount of thought into the design of this particular memorial. And it's really a great tribute to him. And hopefully come the 30th of the anniversary of the unveiling, we can add an additional plaque somewhere out in the car park to tribute Robin Gibson and Con Shacker's work in bringing this wonderful memorial about. So, any questions? No?
If we wanted to put in something for 23 Squadron Association, who do we go through to do that?
You can never put one in here.
Not here, but perhaps
outside.
Outside.
Right to the Mount Cootha Botanical Garden coordinator, because they look after the funds. Or if you know, who's your local councillor?
We're Ipswich. So.
Oh, well, in that case.
Well, we have a familiarity with Adrian Schrenner. We might have to talk to Adrian Schrenner about it. Because Adrian's the Mayor of Brisbane, the City of Brisbane.
Yeah, I know who Adrian is.
City of Brisbane Squadron. Yeah. And we've had a number of social with him.
And I'm sure he'll be very happy to coordinate a park bench or something outside, not in here.
We'll look to doing something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Very good.
15 minutes. 12.